Disney World is about to bring back a service guests have been begging to see again for years and years, but now that it's actually about to make its return, the parks will once more be changing in a way you wouldn't expect. So let's find out how we can still navigate in a future Disney dining plan world today, here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today we're talking about the Disney dining plan from a brand new perspective. Now, quick catch-up session for you. Disney's dining plans are an optional pre-purchased add-on to your Disney World vacation package. Now, Disney dining plans disappeared after the 2020 closures, but they are on their way back in January. Now, they allow you to pay for all your meals and snacks before your trip, so you don't have to worry about paying for them out of pocket while you're there. If you want to learn more about how the dining plans work specifically, as well as how to use them to get your money's worth during your next park visit, then I recommend picking up our new Disney dining plan, the DFB Guide to Maximizing the DDP, over on dfbstore.com website. Today, though, we are specifically going to be zeroing in on how this plan is going to impact everyone once it's back in full force across Disney World property, even if you don't have the Disney dining plan. While the DDP won't be returning until January 9th, you can start booking your future vacations with the DDP right now, so the sooner you can start learning about it, the more prepared you'll be when it actually makes its return. Okay, first up, we could see an uptick in crowds again. Here's something you didn't want to hear, but you need to know the truth. There is the potential that those who've been holding off on planning their Disney World vacations until the Disney dining plans return will actually start planning trips back to the parks again. After all, the Disney dining plan is an incentive to bring people to the parks. That is how Disney views it and how they use it. So whether you plan on going to Disney World without or with the Disney dining plan in tow, you're going to need to know how to plan for more intense crowds. So here's a few tips to get you started. Tip number 1, choose to dine at restaurants that are further away from the bulk of the crowds. So if you know you're going to want to leave the park sometime midday when they're at their absolute busiest, you can always make a reservation for a Disney restaurant that escapes all the noise. Need a few recommendations? Well, Olivia's Cafe is a beachy, breezy, casual restaurant in Disney's Old Key West resort that offers classic American fare and items inspired by the Florida Keys. Boma, Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, offers up a buffet of African-inspired dishes. This is also where the Zebra Dome desserts originated, which is why we're eternally grateful. But note that Boma does only serve breakfast and dinner, doesn't serve lunch. Grand Floridian Cafe at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa is a relaxing restaurant that serves tasty, moderately priced options, believe it or not. You got Eggs Benedict, buttermilk fried chicken, and shrimp and grits, and lots of other yummies. Steakhouse 71 at Contemporary Resort offers casual dining with a steakhouse focus in the evenings. It's just steps away from Magic Kingdom, and the burger there is probably my favorite of the moment. And Beaches and Cream is tucked away between Disney's Yacht and Beach Club to provide guests with classic dinner eats and a gigantic ice cream sundae. You're going to find that just steps away from Epcot. Tip number 2, steer clear of the lands that see the most traffic. So when park attendance does reach its peak levels of the day, you're going to want to avoid being in sections of the park where crowds tend to be their worst and those pinch points start to develop. A couple of quick examples for you. In Magic Kingdom, the Fantasyland area with Peter Pan's Flight and It's a Small World can bottleneck really quickly when the crowds get thick. So you'll want to avoid this pathway in the afternoon and stick with other areas and attractions in Fantasyland for a while, like Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid, or the PhilharMagic 4D show. In Hollywood Studios, Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land get busy during the heat of the day. For me, I like to aim toward Toy Story Land at the start of the day since lots of folks are going to be rushing toward Rise of the Resistance. Then I hit up Galaxy's Edge at night when folks are starting to leave the park. Tip number 3, pay to bypass the lines. Again, another truth you didn't want to hear but need to hear anyways. If you want a surefire way to bypass major ride lines all day long, you'll want to invest in Disney Genie Plus and or individual lightning lanes. So Genie Plus ranges between $15 and $30 per person per day and gives you lightning lane access for over 40 attractions, while individual lightning lanes range between $10 and $20 per person per ride and give you lightning lane access to the most popular rides in each park. But today's video isn't a Genie Plus video, so if you want to learn more about that service and whether or not it'll be really worth your time and money, be sure to check out our Genie Plus playlist on our YouTube channel to see all the different lightning lane videos we've already got whipped up for you. Now, here's something that's a little more uplifting. I mean, there's got to be a reason why guests begged and begged and begged for the Disney dining plan to return, right? And there is, because it just makes their vacation a lot easier. The returning Disney dining plan service will have 2 options for you to choose from. First, there's the standard Disney dining plan, those who want to experience a different table service restaurant each day of their trip. Here's a quick look at what the standard plan includes. Meals and snacks can be redeemed at any time during your stay, and for drinks, guests under 21 years of age may choose from a variety of non-alcoholic beverages, but guests 21 and older who have valid identification may choose to grab beer, wine, and/or a cocktail instead. Then there's the quick service plan for those who want a cheaper dining plan option that doesn't involve daily sit-down meals. Again, same rules apply with the quick service plan. You can use those dining credits whenever you want to, and adults may choose to get an alcoholic beverage along with their quick service entree. Whether you decide to get the standard or quick service plan, you'll essentially be paying to not worry about food prices by the time your trip rolls around, since you'll already have paid for all your food in advance anyways. This is a boon from both a budgetary perspective, in that you know the amount you're spending before you even arrive in Disney World, and a vacation relaxation perspective. Essentially, with the exception of gratuities, which are not included in the Disney dining plan, the plan is as easy as showing up, chowing down, and scanning your Magic Band or Key to the World card to use your meal or snack credits right then and there. Okay, next change that you might experience when the Disney dining plan comes back is that dining reservations might be a lot harder to make. So DDP users and non-DDP users alike are going to have to plan around this change even months before they step foot into the parks. Advanced dining reservations for popular restaurants like Cinderella's Royal Table in Magic Kingdom or Ohana, Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, are tricky to come by as is, but reservations for even more Disney World restaurants might become harder to snag as 2024 rolls around. And that's because all those guests who purchased a standard Disney dining plan will still need to make advanced dining reservations for the restaurants they want to dine in, because resis don't automatically come with the purchase of a DDP. But all those people are going to have one table service meal every single day that they've got to use a credit for. So here's my advice. If there's a restaurant you're looking forward to eating in, don't assume it'll be available for you to book at the last second. While the dining tip board, which could help you book day of reservations or put your name on a restaurant's walk-up wait list, will still be available for you to use via the My Disney Experience app, that doesn't mean the restaurant that you're really wanting to book is going to be part of those day of offerings. It could be, but it's a gamble, and will become even more of a gamble once the Disney dining plan launches. So it's always best to make those advanced dining reservations on the app or on the Disney World website just as soon as you can, which is 60 days before the start of your trip. Reservations open online at 6 a.m. Eastern, but we recommend trying to book as early as 5:45, since some days Disney gets a little eager and as reservations go live a little bit earlier. Now, the good news for all you dining plan folks out there, or if you're not a dining plan folk but still planning on staying at a Disney-owned resort during your trip, Disney resort guests will get to book dining reservations 60 days in advance, plus all their other dining reservations for the next 10 days of their trip, meaning you don't have to wake up super early for the next few days in a row to get advanced dining reservations for all the other days of your trip. Instead, you can wake up exactly 60 days before the first day of your trip and make dining reservations for the whole vacation. And that could put you at a major advantage. The next perspective shift you're going to see when the dining plan comes back is that the more expensive meals are going to be more worth it, and they're going to be ordered more. You know the old phrase, go big or go home? With a standard Disney dining plan attached to your future vacation, this phrase is going to turn into your mantra for your entire trip. Your Disney dining plan is going to cover the cost of so many different restaurants, from the parks to the hotels to the Disney Springs shopping district. So now's your chance to try one of those table services that maybe you've held off on booking a reservation for in the past because of the intimidating price tag. This includes popular restaurants like Crystal Palace at Magic Kingdom, Hacienda de San Angel in Epcot, Roundup Rodeo Barbecue at Hollywood Studios, Tusker House at Animal Kingdom, Wolfgang Puck Bar and Grill at Disney Springs, maybe even Sanaa or Jiko at Animal Kingdom Lodge. That being said, there are a few exceptions I want to mention that are pretty big exceptions. Don't forget that certain higher-end restaurants are going to cost you 2 dining plan credits to eat in instead of just 1, meaning you may still have to pay out of pocket for one of your vacation meals if you decide to splurge 2 of your dining credits on the same day for a signature restaurant. A few of the 2 credit restaurants you can book are Cinderella's Royal Table at Magic Kingdom, that's where you get to meet the princesses, Monsieur Paul at Epcot, Hollywood Brown Derby and the Hollywood Brown Derby Lounge at Hollywood Studios, Tiffin's in Animal Kingdom, the Boathouse at Disney Springs is a 2 credit now, and Storybook Dining at Artist Point with Snow White at Wilderness Lodge. Now, lastly, some Disney World restaurants will cost you either 1 or 2 dining credits depending on when you visit them. For example, Akershus Royal Banquet Hall at Epcot is 1 credit for breakfast, but 2 for lunch and dinner. Morimoto Asia at Disney Springs is 1 credit for lunch, but 2 for dinner. And the Character Breakfast at Topolino's Terrace is only 1 dining credit, but it becomes a 2 credit meal when it switches over to its signature style dining during dinner. So if you want to save some money dining at one of these higher end locations, be mindful of what time you're booking them for, and you could save a credit. Now, you might see certain food items running out a little bit faster than you did in the past because so many people are going to be dining at these table service locations, these snack locations, because they already prepaid for it. Now, whether you invest in the standard or quick service plan, you're going to have a whole lot of snack credits to use all trip long, and you're not going to want to let those go to waste. But because everyone else also has the same mindset, snacks and festival items that can also be purchased using a Disney Dining Plan snack credit will see an increase in demand. This can lead to a couple more unsavory outcomes. First, we'll probably see snack prices increase again, which will definitely impact those paying for treats out of pocket. And we just saw a bunch of snack prices increase here about a week ago from when I'm recording this. And two, there's the potential that snacks and festival items will run out earlier on in the day, especially the more popular ones. Festival booth shortages have been less of an issue lately than they were after the 2020 park reopenings, and they might be even less of an issue once the Communicore Hall and Plaza arrive, which will become the new heart of the Epcot festivals when they open up by the end of this year. But with the return of the Disney Dining Plan and the new festival formats on the horizon, you never know if the festival item you're looking forward to most will remain available all day long or become really popular and sell out super duper early. The best advice we can give you, whether you're trying to pick up snack or festival munchies with your DDP credits or not, is to grab those priority snacks earlier on in the day rather than wait to get them until the end of the night. More than likely, Disney will have plenty of ingredients to keep on making these popular items, so you'll have a better chance of securing your snack the sooner you can get in line for it. So this next one can be both a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of situation. So once upon a time, Disney's lounges like Tambu Lounge and Nomad Lounge and the Enchanted Rose and other similar spots required you to pay out of pocket to eat and drink at, even if you'd already paid for the DDP. They were not included on the Disney Dining Plan. But now, in a turn of events, it looks like certain lounges will be indeed part of the Disney Dining Plan, which is great news. Here's a quick look at all the different lounges that'll be available for you to pay for with your dining credits. Yeah, that's a good chunk of our favorite lounges right there, so it's nice to know you won't be forced to pay extra for these first-come, first-served locations if you want to experience them. And if you can't book a dining reservation for a main restaurant, you can always try to eat at one of the lounges as a plan B, subject to that day of availability. Now, here's the tricky thing about the lounges. We're still not quite sure how the dining credits are going to work for these guys yet. We do know that a few lounges, like Cape Town Lounge and Animal Kingdom Lodge, Citrico's and Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, and Hollywood Brown Derby Lounge and Hollywood Studios will actually charge 2 dining credits from the standard Disney Dining Plan because they offer basically a full menu of options straight from the main restaurants they're attached to. Then again, other lounges like Cruise Cup Lounge at Yacht Club, for instance, may wind up only being a quick service credit for one of their lounge bites. But again, we still don't have all the details to tell you one way or another. We'll keep an eye on what the Disney Dining Plan says for lounges when we learn more about them, just to see if quick service Disney Dining Plan users will still be able to use credits toward these lounges as well. But for now, here's what we can tell you about lounges being part of the DDP lineup. For non-Disney Dining Plan users, be wary. Lounges may have less walk-up availability than before, if Disney Dining Plan users choose to wait and use their credits on these locations rather than full table service meals. If there's a certain lounge you want to make sure you get on the walk-up wait list for, then hit up the host stand of said lounge early on in the day to get your name on the list, or see if the lounge has a walk-up list available for you to snag on the My Disney Experience app. For Disney Dining Plan users, before you decide to go the lounge route on certain days instead of the regular table service route, check and see if it'll really be worth a full dining credit or not. Because if you end up paying one table service credit for a more limited menu than what you'll find at a main restaurant location, then you might as well try to book the main restaurant for the same price and have more options to choose from. Again, we'll let you know when we hear more about the Disney Dining Plan specifics here, but just be aware that lounges are going to be part of the Disney Dining Plan for the first time, and you'll want to do your research before relying on them to be a big part of where and how you wind up spending your dining credits. Now, this next one happened big time with the last Disney Dining Plan, and I assume it'll happen again. More extras are going to start popping up. Don't be fooled. Even though Disney wants you to believe the Disney Dining Plan will completely transform your upcoming vacation into an all-inclusive experience, doesn't mean they won't still try to convince you to pay more for your food anyways. As the Disney Dining Plan once again becomes a normal part of the Disney World scene, you might start noticing some extras, or enhancements as Disney calls them, popping up on the restaurant menus. Menu enhancements are premium items on the menus that cost extra on top of your prefix menu price, or in this case, your Disney Dining Plan credit. Let me use Space 220 as an example. When you visit Space 220 for dinner, you'll automatically pay $79 per adult, which will cover whatever you decide you want to eat as an appetizer, entree, and dessert. However, there's a small section of the menu called Space Station Supplementals that feature premium items like half lobster stuffed with crab and 20-ounce bone-in ribeye that'll cost you $18 to $20 extra on top of that $79 price tag. So much like you have to pay extra on top of what you're already paying in order to try these supplements at Space 220, those kinds of enhancements will start becoming all the more prevalent again when the Disney Dining Plan is in full swing. That way, Disney can get you with those out-of-pocket premium items, even for those who've already paid for their meal using dining credits. It can be very confusing and it can be very tricky. Enhancements aren't a bad thing. They can be the best food of your entire meal, but they can be really sly with these. So be sure to look over the menus ahead of time, even if you're using dining credits to pay for your food, because you just might find that the food you really want to order is going to cost you even more than you expected. Also keep in mind that even if more of these extras do start wriggling their way back onto the menus again, you'll still have plenty of entrees to choose from off the regular menus that won't cost you a cent more. Just make sure you know which is which with your server. So we've talked a lot about table service restaurants, but what about fast food? How will Disney's quick services be impacted by the return of the Disney Dining Plan? Well, since Disney's fast food spots will be available on the Disney Dining Plan for both the quick service and standard service, it's less likely DDP users will be looking for cheaper dining alternatives, like eating outside the Disney bubble or door-dashing food to their hotel rooms or bringing their own sandwiches to the parks. Instead, they'll be searching out Disney's fast food options for a quick lunch and or dinner. This means lines for quick services, especially during those prime dining times of the day, have the potential to get even longer. Even the mobile order option on your MDE app, which helps you pre-order your quick service meals and bypass those physical lines altogether, can book up all their return windows if the demand is big enough. So what do you do when it's lunchtime and you want to eat at, say, Satuli Canteen over at Animal Kingdom? Good choice. But the next available return window isn't for another 1 to 2 hours. Well, the good thing is you're not going to be completely stranded without a meal, since Disney World has so many different fast food locations and snack kiosks you can opt for, but it can still be disappointing if you don't get to eat where you wanted to. So here's what we like to do. Open up mobile order a couple of hours before you actually want to eat. That way you can plan ahead and schedule a return window before everyone else does. The restaurant won't start preparing your food until you tell them you're there. So even if you order chicken tenders and fries from Backlot Express and Hollywood Studios at 9 a.m., your food's not going to be all soggy and gross when your scheduled 1 p.m. arrival time comes around. Just keep in mind that when it's finally time for your order to be prepared and picked up from whatever fast food restaurant you choose, there can still be a lot of backup in the kitchen during busy times of day. So even if you snag a specific time slot for lunch, you might still wind up waiting well past your arrival window to actually receive your food. There have been times that I've booked maybe a 12 o'clock or 12:30 time slot, and I've arrived and said I'm here, and I don't get my food till 30 minutes later. So brace yourself for this slight hitch in the road by hitting the Prepare My Order button on the My Disney Experience app when you first start walking over to the restaurant. That way you can give the kitchen a little bit of a head start on your order, so there's a better chance of it actually being ready when you arrive. Or just book a time slot that is outside of the regular dining time, so 11 a.m. for lunch, or maybe 2:30 for a late lunch, or 4 o'clock for an early dinner. And to be super prepared for these dining delays, make sure to pack a few extra snacks from home in your park bag to tide you over, just in case you miss out on getting that prime dining window or you get caught waiting for a while for the kitchen to catch up on its orders. Now, the biggest way the Disney Dining Plan is going to impact how you eat at Disney World in the future is simply charging you more money for food. Because contrary to popular belief, the Disney Dining Plan isn't automatically saving you money if you add it to your vacation package. It could cost you a whole lot more money instead if you don't know how to use it well. The dining plan is more of a convenience-based service rather than a savings-based one. For many, the prepaid aspect alone is enough of a bonus to purchase the Disney Dining Plan. But the truth of the matter is you can dine more cheaply and still dine well in Disney World. Disney prices their dining plan at a price point high enough that it's going to cover the majority of food that most people are going to eat in the park and then some, so that they make a little bit of a profit. So no matter how many calculations we do, it's been real hard to figure figure out how to save money with the dining plan. Sometimes we can save $5, sometimes $10, but it's rarely more than that, especially when we know that that's a lot of food on the dining plan and not that many people want to eat that much food in Disney World. So talking quickly about prices. For a quick service plan, you're going to pay $57.01 per adult per day and $23.83 per kid per day. Meanwhile, the standard plan is going to put you back $94.28 per adult per day and $26.69 per kid per day. So let's say there's a family of 2 adults, 2 kids, visiting Hollywood Studios. For breakfast, you might start off easy with a granola bar back at the hotel room, but for lunch, you decide to eat at Roundup Rodeo Barbecue for your splurge meal, and for dinner, you hit up Docking Bay 7 for something faster and cheaper with some waters to drink. Oh, and let's not forget about the snacks. We can get a round of Lunchbox tarts for the fam over at Woody's Lunchbox for a nice little afternoon treat. Roundup Rodeo normally costs a prefix of $45 per adult and $25 per kid. Docking Bay 7's a la carte menu is around $14 to $19 per adult and $9 to $10 per kid. And then those Lunchbox tarts keep things pretty affordable too at around $5 per tart. If you're using the standard Disney dining plan that day, the cost of all this food is going to wind up being $247.94. But if you're just paying for all this out of pocket, that'll just graze past the $200 mark for your family unless you're getting the most expensive stuff at Docking Bay 7, which will bump up that total cost by just a few dollars more. Now, this isn't me saying the Disney dining plan is just going to constantly rip you off every single day of your visit, but it does mean you're going to have to do a little extra research on your end to make sure the restaurants you're booking and the food you're ordering is going to help you break even and maybe even save you money after that initial Disney dining plan cost. Which brings us back full circle, my friends, back to DFB's new Disney dining plan guide over on the dfbstore.com website. We want to make sure you maximize your Disney dining plan credits. You know, the most expensive restaurants, the best values for your quick service, the best values for your snacks, which means we're going to brainstorm together and figure out what restaurants your family isn't just going to immensely enjoy, but which restaurants are also going to give you the most bang for your dining credit buck. This means looking at restaurants with high-end steaks, all you care to enjoy meals, over-the-top immersive experiences, and more. So we can help you decide if you want to skip over the dining plan altogether or go ahead and purchase, because when it's all said and done, you might want to say thanks, but no thanks to the dining plan, and that's totally understandable too. Either way, if you decide you want to grab our new Disney dining plan guide from the DFB store, don't forget to type in code YouTube to save some extra money before you check out. So to dining plan or not to dining plan? That is the question, but whatever your answer to said question may be doesn't change the fact that the return of the DDP is about to shake things up on the Disney World scene. So keep checking back with us as we continue to learn more details about this prodigal service. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.